Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. For the first time in, I don't remember how long, but the man who is here with me, who I have literally not spoken with on video or on the phone since, I don't remember this either. It's been almost 3 weeks. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds right. It was the day before you left for...
I left on a Friday.
Right. I think we spoke on that Thursday, just to clarify, because I was busy that week. You were busy that week with both preparing for travel and some life stuff. But yeah, I don't think I've spoken to you since around July 10th, John, in that type of a formal capacity. And then it's good. Welcome back to the States, as they say. And welcome back to the Knicks Film School Podcast, John.
It's good to. I feel like I've shortchanged the vast majority of our listeners because I recorded an episode with Benji the day that I left for the trip, and I recorded an episode with DJ the day that I came back for the trip. Both of those episodes aired on Patreon. Shameless plug for the Knicks Film School Patreon. Go subscribe today. Well, the getting's good. But yeah, so I know. So now the next question is, when's the last time I did a regular KFS pod? And even better than that, what the hell did we talk about? Was it like the Brown hiring?
No. So that is funny that you forget that you and I did a whole podcast after Nick's Twitter day. We went through the...
I was out east. I was in the Hamptons. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We did what's the biggest questions we have of the off season remaining.
That was a good part.
And yeah, it was so memorable too that you completely forgot it happened.
No, you're not going to do that. You know me too well. Listen, the listeners.
I do know you well enough that you absolutely forgot pods that we do. This is the thing that happens all the time. I did a podcast.
Yes, but the listeners by this point are smart enough to know that you know me well enough to know that it is not personal that I forgot what we talked about. Case in point, my wife said to me, I can't even remember what the hell it was. Something didn't work that we had brought on our move. And I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that it didn't work? And she was like, I've told you no less than half a dozen times that this thing was this case. And she was what I tell you, Andrew, she was ready to. She almost lost her shit. Mm-hmm. So it's not you. It's not you.
We all know it's not us. Believe me. We all are aware that. How many times have I put something on the calendar and you've been like, where's the link? And it's like, it's on the calendar. It's like,
but that's a technology. Hold on. That's a technology issue. That's but
that calendar sends reminders. That is my point.
I don't get those reminders on my phone. Sorry, I'm not responsible.
All this to say, John, like we are aware, speaking of Dolores, we are aware of the creature we have all married, and we are still in love with said creature after all these years.
The more I love you, the bigger part you are of my life.
Yeah.
The more what you say goes in one ear.
Yes, exactly. I'll take it as a compliment. Welcome back, John. I would recommend, speaking of shameless plugs, John's newsletter today.
Oh, thank you.
Which I believe is the Monday newsletter that is available for free to anybody who signs up. Oh, is that no longer? That's now behind a paywall.
Because I had to give the full subscribers a little something because I cut it down to three newsletters a week for the summer. So if you're a free subscriber, sorry, but the next full newsletter you're getting will be in like late September. So this is you got to pay for this one.
Regardless, sign up for the newsletter. We would appreciate it. And I would recommend John going through you checking out John going through his travel diary of what started out in Italy and made its way over to France.
Yeah.
It seems like there was a lot of food over in Europe. That seems to be the thing that you want to expand upon. Which is totally fine. I'm obviously okay with the travel journal about food.
I expanded upon eating the food. You like how I did that?
Well done.
The food. I mean, look, we went to, for anybody who doesn't know, it's my mom's 75th birthday this year. Not until October, but she wanted to do a trip with her only child, me, and her grandchildren. Obviously, my wife Dolores and her brother Mark. and his lovely wife Joanne. And that's, we were all like months and months ago. We're like, what do you want for your birthday? You want to do this? You want to do that? And she's like, for my birthday, I want to take all of you on this vacation. To which we were like, you know what? Who are we to not give you what you want? So yeah, we went to Sorrento, which is a place my mom's been to several times. So she kind of knew the area well. And it was just very relaxing. We stayed in a little villa. So the kids had, a little pool that they could go in, which was great. So it's like the kids were happy, and then we just kind of ventured out and had, for a week, it was basically nothing but pasta, prosciutto, fish, and wine and gelato. Those were the 5 food groups of our week in Italy. Of those 5, which is most interesting to you?
Pasta.
The pasta. What do you have a favorite type of pasta or favorite style of pasta?
This is very reductive, and I should be careful how I say this with an Italian wife, but probably noodles, but it's very much all pasta tastes the same to me. The actual pasta is like, if it's in a different shape or if it ends in an eni, like it tastes the same as spaghetti, Now the sauce that goes on it and the meat, the meatballs and whatever you add to it distinguishes it in my mind, but actual pasta is the exact same. So if I'm just going with butter sauce or meat sauce, like that's the part that actually adds the flavor and the sustenance to me, while recognizing I come from the Hispanic world where it's a different level of base. Like rice and chicken is more the focus there, So
we could do a whole podcast about this. We won't. Don't worry.
We could.
But I will just say 2 things. My favorite. I'm actually, as someone who's 100% Italian, I'm actually a lot like you in that, to me, the different types of pastas are not all that. If it's pasta, it's pasta. My favorite type of pasta is gnocchi. Do you know what gnocchi is?
No.
Gnocchi is a pasta that part of it, what makes it different, it is not made just with the normal materials that you use to make pasta. It is also incorporates potato. And what it creates is this little, if it's made well, it's like this little pillow. It's little cloud of glory. It's supposed to be soft, and it kind of melts in your mouth a little bit. And the specialty dish of Sorrento is gnocchi. I think it's called alla Sorrentino or alla Sorrento, whatever it is, but it is basically gnocchi in, I wouldn't call it a pink sauce, but it's like in between a pink sauce and a red sauce with melted mozzarella. And it's as good as it sounds. So that is unique. And then the other part of it, and this is something I don't know that you can get the full effect of until you go to Italy, because something they do there, I don't know what it is, but homemade pasta, freshly homemade pasta is just, it is like eating a different food than if you go to the supermarket and buy, ronzini or whatever the hell, like the box pasta is. It's not even the same. It's like Domino's versus L&B. It would be my example. So, I will just say again, the pasta was very good. My favorite bite of pasta, not lasagna, because I had a really good lasagna, but it's a restaurant called Shea Black in Positano, which is another town on the Amalfi Coast, in a pesto sauce. So it was linguine in a pesto sauce. I don't like pesto sauce. Have you ever tried pesto sauce?
Yes. I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't hate it.
That's most people. I don't mind it. It's like, I don't hate it. It's always disappointing. There was a joke on Seinfeld about pesto. Well, let me tell you, this pesto sauce was the best pesto sauce I've ever had. And by a significant degree.
I hope so.
Yeah. So if you're ever in Positano, make sure you hit up Shea Black. But yeah, the trip was great. And then, because my mom is a crazy person and she's like, a week in Italy isn't enough. She was like, we should do something else. And my daughter, Scarlett, who's downstairs with my mom. My mom is actually here helping us move in. Was like, I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. And thus our trip extended, not spur of the moment, but we planned to extend it to France, and, did a lot of walking and saw the Eiffel Tower and saw some other stuff. I mean, that is, if you could do that with Ro before you have kids, which I won't go into detail because I know you don't, I won't explain how a trip to Paris with kids is different than a trip to Paris without kids, because I don't want to see your head explode. But I will just say, if you could do it before you have children.
That's not what you went to, like, I won't go into detail about how you'll have. I didn't know how you were gonna.
Oh, you thought I was going in a different direction with that.
Yeah. Before you have kids, before I go into detail about how you have kids,
I won't. We'll do that for another pod.
That's a Patreon tier that none of you can afford.
Pasta and procreation. That's a good podcast idea.
Yes, indeed. Jeez. Welcome back, John.
Thanks. but Paris was awesome, and we did the Louvre. We did the Eiffel Tower. We saw a lot of stuff. Took a picture. I sent it to you in the group chat. A picture in front of the Shakespeare Company that's at the beginning of before sunset, right?
Yes, before sunset. Yeah. That's where they walk around Paris the entire time. No. Before sunset. Yeah, before the second one.
And I'd forgotten the bookstore was there, but after I saw the bookstore, I'm like, man, I wish I had mapped out the path that they take so me and Dolores could have walked the path. But then I quickly realized, oh no, it wouldn't be the same, because we are. Now I'm going to phrase myself very carefully here. We are not living the life that they are living in before midnight, because we're much happier people than they were.
Yeah,
but we are at that stage of life, which is to say, we have 2 kids. So our walk around Paris would not have quite mimicked what they did in that film.
I would hope not. That film ends very, very depends if you're a romantic or a cynic, but it ends in a certain place. Your trip looked and sounded amazing. I would just say, like, the food aspect of most vacations is what obviously interests me. I'm going on one to Chicago in a couple weeks because I've never been to the city.
So you never had deep dish pizza from Chicago?
So, okay, I should say I've been there once. I had a wedding in college that I went to right after college, I should say. And my college roommate is from Michigan.
Okay.
And like the UP, so like the Upper Peninsula where there's like nothing. And so
sure.
we decided to make it an actual trip, me and my college buddies, because a lot of us had just graduated. And so we went to Chicago for a night to just like enjoy something more than the small part of Michigan where we were going to go. And I had deep dish pizza. I don't mean to start a war here, but I still am wondering when the actual pizza shows up, because that was cake, or might as well have been sauce. Just
it's like cheese soup,
right? So I'm gonna give it another try in authentic Chicago. I mean, I'm going to a Cubs game. We're doing a Second City show. We're gonna do something on the river, like a dinner.
Oh, that's great.
We're doing like the full sightseeing trip. So that's where this sounds like it was a mix of both great food and sightseeing. So my kind of vacation.
And then as we transition into the Knicks portion of this Knicks podcast,
I'm just gonna say we're like 14 minutes into this and haven't mentioned the New York Knicks play, other than the fact that this is the Knicks Film School Podcast, folks. We'll give you the justice of the small stuff that has trickled out over the last 18 days. But
we're gonna do it.
It is the summer. It is the middle of the summer. So.
Well. So it's funny. So we're not going to go there yet, because there's a place that I do want to go. But before we get there, and this again, it'll lead in. You already took a trip this summer to sunny Las Vegas, and it was. I mean, do you think of that as a work trip at this point?
Yes,
you do. Okay, yeah, it's fair.
I literally went because of work. So,
Ro did not come with you. I know.
No, Rosina did not come with me.
Just to be clear. How was Vegas? I'll just start there.
Very hot, but so okay. I said this last time when I talked to Jeremy about it, because the Knicks, in our world of Knicks coverage and Knicks content, did not have a good summer league team, and I think this is something that a lot of Knicks fans came to accept over the course of summer league, that some of these young players may need more time to season, as they say. But I also was excited to see Tyler Kolek play. Just flat out play. There is a freshness to when they're starting and playing 20 plus minutes, and you see in Kevin McCullough Jr. for the first extended minutes, and you get a look at Diawara and some of these other guys like Dink Pate and James Najee, guys that may or may not end up on two ways or not. The actual Knicks portion of it was, I think, disappointing for a lot of people, while recognizing this may be the only time we get to see these guys in this capacity as like a starting five. I think the reality for a lot of Knicks fans, and I think I felt this and a lot of Knicks fans I've talked to have felt this, that this wasn't the summer league where they made the championship 5 years ago, where Quentin Grimes and Obi Toppin and, Emmanuel Quickley, clear NBA rotation players, some clear NBA starters were playing, and the Knicks had an overwhelming amount of talent. And this is where I have to bring in the game theory part of this, where Sam and Bryce just did back-to-back 2.5-hour shows, recapping everybody that mattered at Summer League. And they didn't mention a New York Knick in either episode. And it was the reality from a Knicks perspective at Summer League, of seeing how the Knicks and their crop of prospects stack up against the rest of the league. And it could, if one wanted to spin it as a positive, John, it could instill a little more confidence that the top 9 is much more significant than the back 5. But that's, to each his own.
Was there any question about that?
Some may have wanted to see a leap from a Tyler Kolek, or from oh wow, this is Tyler Kolek is averaging whatever and whatever. Now I maintain, and this was something I said on the last show that some of the listeners had an issue with, Tyler Kolek still has the same court vision and elite passing skills that everybody has projected for him. Yeah. And that did show out at Summer League. Who he's passing to for open looks is much different than who he'll pass to when there are NBA players on the floor. So if you're finding someone in the corner for 3 and the team is shooting 7 for 27 from 3 in the game, then those aren't going to translate into assists. And since I am not going and looking up potential assists on any box score for Summer League, I'm just going to go with what my eyes showed. Now, did he have a rough first 2 games of Summer League? Yes, they were full court pressing him, and he didn't deal with it the best. He didn't have a single person to really give him a screen throughout Summer League, but not to make excuses. He played poorly for 2 games and then played really well for a game and a half. I'm just, the Summer League was supposed to be a glorified practice for the majority of its existence. And only a decade ago did it become a league that a lot of people seem to think matter in the sense of its importance to a player's standing in their development. This is the opportunity here is for growth. And Kyle Filipowski of the Jazz won MVP of Summer League.
I didn't even know that.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just he had a good Summer League. He had a good 5 whatever games. That's really all it is. They could have had 5 whatever practices, and it still wouldn't have mattered. It's just, this is a glorified practice that we've turned into a networking opportunity and
well, that's what it really is, and that's what it's really become. Is it's just the place where everybody congregates, and that's why I think, for as much as the play on the court does matter to a lot of Knicks fans, and I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, and I'll get back to that in a second. There's a reason why none of the national NBA media, other than your guy Sam, who does this better than anyone, and this is part of what people come to Sam for, is he's going to give them something that nobody else gives them, but it's not a major talking point. How these young players play. To take your previous point about the difference from now versus whatever it was 4 years ago, the collection of players who were on the Knicks Summer League team then was essentially the same guys who were on the court in what one might call the best win of the 21-22 Knicks season, which I remember one Andrew Claudio did the postgame for after that comeback win in Miami. So they were more than real NBA players. Like those were the players who for years Knicks fans were like, no, we want to see those guys. We want to see these other people, even when the team was good. I think there was a lot of that opinion. And now, let me bring it all the way around. I think those young players and those previous Summer League teams were the worst thing that could have happened to this group, because I think the second they got the pick to get Kolek and paid Kolek the contract that we've talked about so many times, it's like there is an assumption of like, oh, Walt Perrin struck again. He's got another Deuce McBride or Emmanuel Quickley or Quentin Grimes, and I'm not going to sit here and say that is definitely not going to happen. Who knows? I know he's an older player for whatever he is in his career, but he could still grow and develop and become whatever he is. And like you said, it's Summer League. It doesn't really matter. But it's an unfair expectation. Where I go to Summer League, or what I try to take out of Summer League, is what we got once upon a time from Kristaps Porzingis, what we got from Mitchell Robinson, where you are seeing a player for the first time and you're like, whoa, okay, I get it now. I could see the vision. I could see what this is. Now, obviously, KP was the fourth pick. Mitchell Robinson had top 10 talent. All indications were that Mohamed Diawara probably wasn't going to get drafted at all. And maybe part of the reason he got drafted was because he was like same age as Yabusele, friends with Pacome Dadier. We'll see what kind of contract he agrees to when the Knicks eventually sign their player with no NBA experience. If it is Diawara, something else to keep an eye on. But like when that dude came in and was like flying around the court and doing all this shit, I'm like, oh, okay. That's something that it's not going to be this year. Probably won't even be next year, but a couple of years down the line. And that's, I think, some of my personal positive to take out of Summer League. That's me.
I didn't see a single future starter on the Knicks. And that, I think, is the biggest difference between now and back then, when to me it was very clear these are NBA players. These are guys that will be in rotations when we were watching Quickly and Obi and even Deuce, like back then, you know.
So, absolutely. Yeah.
Like you go to that version of the Knicks and it was very clear they have like starting and high rotation NBA talent. Whereas there's some projects here and that's totally fine. Like again, Kevin McCullough Jr. had a 30-point game. That doesn't mean I think he will get 30 points in the NBA ever. Not saying he can't, but it's just the reality of watching this in person. But yeah, Summer League was okay while I was there. I think a lot of people felt some sort of Vegas fatigue. And I didn't mention this when I talked to Jeremy about it last weekend, but there was a cloud hanging over Summer League too that has nothing to do with the NBA, and it's that the Backstreet Boys are currently playing at the Sphere, James Dolan's latest conquest.
Why is that a cloud?
Well, it's just everybody was there. Like the big event that weekend wasn't Summer League. It's that the Backstreet Boys are playing at the Sphere. Yes, so you go to a restaurant or whatever, and there are people in their outfits getting ready to go see all five of them. And I heard it was like an outstanding show. Well, actually, I met some people at the meetup we did, the collaboration we did with Knicks Fan TV and West Coast Knicks, Left Coast Knicks. Where Deuce McBride showed up. Met some people there, said some nice things about us, about our show, and they all said, a lot of them said, like, yeah, I was supposed to go to the Backstreet Boys concert tonight. I went to this instead. My wife went to the concert instead, and I was like, oh, well, thank you. I would have went to the Backstreet Boys. I appreciate that, though. So, appreciate you choosing us. But yeah, this whole Vegas experience the last 2 years has more clarified that if we go next year, it's like we're planning out the 2 days that everybody has to be there, and then Vegas is a weekend thing as far as I'm concerned.
I went last year. Obviously, we all went last year. We had this trip this year, and the timing was such that this is when we had to do it. I will be there next year, and for all intents and purposes moving forward. So I'm excited for that. I am. I feel like I missed out a little bit.
I don't think you missed out at all, to be honest. That I think is the takeaway from Summer League, where look, we will plan something next year for sure if schedules work out, of course.
Quick break to tell you about America's first ever USDA organic THC gummy. You know the words, shout out to Cornbread. Yes, Cornbread, the source of your healthy, happy hour. It's a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. Well, how do they achieve that balance? My favorite thing about Cornbread is it's just the right amount for me as someone who is not a regular user of these sorts of products, but still wants to get that relaxation without feeling anxious or paranoid like some other cannabis edibles, which is why Cornbread's 1-to-1 THC to CBD ratio is perfect for me. They have 10 milligrams of THC per gummy, which is just the right dose, and it gives me everything I need without any of the stuff that I don't want. If you are looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They have created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that is 100% legal. As a special offer to Knicks Film School listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/KFS and use promo code KFS at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/KFS and use code KFS for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. So that was one point of consternation, I guess, over the last few weeks was like, the performance of Summer League. The other main one, it feels like, is this assistant coach thing. So nobody's talked about this yet since we're before us right now. So the news is that Pablo Prigioni, once a Knick, always a Knick. A great Knick, although I don't know where he ranks in the over the last, let's say, 25 years. I don't think he ranks among the 25 best, but I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, you just use the word great.
He was a very good Knick for his role. He was great for his role. That's it. He was a star in his role.
He was a star in his role. There you go.
And he made a lot of fans, and he's obviously made a lot of fans around the league over the last several years, being an assistant coach first with Brooklyn and out Minnesota. The first assistant coach that the Knicks actually received permission to speak to from the team that currently employs them. And Ian Begley reported over on Saturday, I guess, that Pablo turned him down, cited, family reasons. I'm sure family reasons are a part of it. Maybe they're the biggest part of it. Maybe they're maybe they actually are the whole reason. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. But I think this brought back a lot of the consternation that existed before the Mike Brown hire, which is like, not why does nobody want to come work for the Knicks, but I don't know. How would you describe the consternation that exists? Because that doesn't feel accurate. I don't think that is what people think.
I hope not.
No.
Look, I know that the staff of the New York Knicks has become last year in particular, the coaching staff of the New York Knicks became such a focal point, largely because a lot of fans wanted a new one. So I think the fact that we don't know who Mike Brown's assistants are yet, and we're so far into the summer already, maybe a little concerning, but they have until media day to announce their new staff. I know Rick Brunson was rumored to be coming to the Knicks staff the year that he got the job. It wasn't officially confirmed until media day. And then it was like, oh yeah, and Othello Harrington is a member of the Knicks staff and all these other guys. So like they do have the entire summer to figure this out. And I think it just becomes so heavily reported because we're obsessed with this team, and that's totally fine. I love how obsessed our fan base is. Yeah. Both the Knicks Film School and the Knicks. I love that the level of importance that's been placed on who's going to be the backup to the backup to the backup is a thing that happens. I don't know if it should be looked at as a negative that guys with with current jobs in situations like the reason that it was reported Prigioni didn't come here was family reasons. I'm not going to uproot my family in the middle of the summer to move them to New York when we're comfortable in the situation we're in now in Minnesota, which is totally fine. So I'd wait and see. If you like that Mike Brown is now the head coach, you need to trust that he's going to fill his staff with adequate assistants. That's really where I stand on this.
This doesn't bother me. Let me rephrase that. I would have liked Pablo here. I think Pablo, again, anyone, and I don't, we as fans can only know so much about this stuff, but it has been reported that he is thought of around the league as a very bright offensive mind, much like several of the other people that the Knicks have been in contact with. So if you could get someone on your team's staff that people seem to think highly of, that's generally a good thing. That said, there's a lot of really, really good offensive minds and defensive minds and overall minds like on sidelines. And I have no doubt that the Knicks are going to wind up with good people to be what has kind of been described as like offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I don't think anybody should think otherwise. I don't think like, again, I'm not saying this is the majority opinion, but I've seen it kind of, wondered about like, is there something about the Knicks right now that people don't want to come work here? And I don't think that that's it. I just think it is okay to look at the reality of the situation, which is that they just, as you have noted, for the first time in like 20 years, a team that made it to the conference finals fired their head coach. And as has been discussed on our channels and many others, like there was the process that went down, how that went down is, something that if you were someone from the outside looking in, you'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that. And the other part of it, and this is the thing, I guess, for me, that if I was going to be concerned, it would be this. It's funny. You just mentioned, Mike Brown's going to find good people to fill out his staff. My impression, just from reading the reporting, and you tell me if I'm off base here, is that the offensive, this kind of idea of an offensive and defensive coordinator is a front office idea, and that it has been reported that one of the reasons they were upset with Thibodeau is that he didn't have more delegation to someone to run the offense, to run defense, all that stuff. So that they want this here. And while obviously Mike Brown is going to play a prominent role and probably to have the biggest voice in who ends up getting hired, it strikes me as basically the front office is trying to assemble Voltron. Is that I wasn't a real Transformers guy. Is Voltron?
Form Voltron, yeah.
For Voltron here, because you have Mike Brown, you have your Tibbs guys, your holdovers, you have your Mike Brown guys, which Scotto reported one over the weekend. His name's escaping me. Mr. Katz reported someone like a week and a half ago that's coming over from Brown staff. And then on top of all that, you're going to have these coordinators. So it's like a lot of stuff coming together. I could see if I was, let's say, Pablo Prigioni, and I was in a nice, stable situation in Minnesota where it's like, okay, it's Chris Finch, it's Mike Honore, it's me, it's our guys. It's like we're left to our own devices. I could see being a little bit leery of like, okay, it's not organic, I guess would be the way to say it. But again, how much does that really matter? Maybe not at all. I don't know.
I'm at the not at all portion of
I think that's reasonable.
The evaluation. I think it's a fine thing to note. And again, to the thing we've discussed, it just adds to the unprecedented nature of firing your coach after advancing into the playoffs and needing to replace him and his assistants. I think to use the word that the Knicks have used, the collaborative effort that it seems there's going to be this season on the staff, that you can suggest something to an assistant and that assistant may be deferred to for an out of timeout, or Mike Brown leans on his assistants. It's basically what I'm saying about, which is not something the Knicks seem to have had over the past 5 years, for better or for worse.
For worse.
I've been critical of one Tom Thibodeau, much to your dismay. But I do think there needs to be some respect put on his name, that there is a better portion of the Tibbs.
No,
I don't have to tell you this, but like for better or for worse, meaning like it's not like he was a complete failure and never turned to his assistants that would have turned it into a complete success.
I'm not saying that.
But I'm saying for better or for worse implies like there was some good that we need to highlight when we talk about the some bad that, which is all I'm saying in that phrase. With Mike Brown, there will be a for better or for worse in the fact that like he's deferring to his assistants, like, and they may lead to something good, but they also may lead to something bad it's just a new way the Knicks are going to be doing business, which I just flatly, which is why I think to talk about this on July 28th is so fascinating. Like, we're not going to know how good or bad it is until they play games. Like, we're not going to know how good or bad the assistants running plays or suggesting anything is going to matter until we get a regular season sample size of whoever the next Wonderkind's offense or defense is. So I would suggest to any Knicks fan that's potentially feeling said consternation that you're suggesting, John, there are a lot of good movies out there this summer. Like, there are a lot of good things you could do with your time this summer. John went to Europe. Like, I'm going.
Everybody should go to Europe.
Go someplace. Like, this is a very disingenuous way of me just saying go outside. But like one of my favorite developments, although I did see something happen to somebody, I'll expand in a second. One of my favorite developments from Knicks Twitter Day is that now everybody's just hooping. Like, everybody's going, like, awesome. Videos of everybody from Knicks Twitter Day that have now invaded my timeline of like, hey, we're playing pickup here. We're playing, at this court there, at this gym there. This is me preparing for Knicks Twitter Day next year. Unfortunately, I watched a video. I forget the person's name.
I know what you're talking about.
Someone posted a video of them hooping with their nephews, and he popped his Achilles. To that gentleman, get well soon. I'm so sorry that happened. But like,
good job getting outside.
Yes, you got outside. Like the process was good, even if the result was bad. I would recommend everybody go. I'm going to a park later today to hoop. I recommend everybody go do that instead of potentially feeling any consternation over who will be the backup to the backup coach of the Knicks.
I'm going to try to sneak out to see some movie. I don't know what with the kids later. Because
Superman.
Well, the problem is to go behind the scenes. Dee needs to do a little work tonight, and she wants to see Superman. I don't think she has much interest in.
So that's you need to see it with. Yeah, okay, exactly. Got it.
It's one of those situations. The only reason I said for worse, by the way, before is I do think
because you hate Tom Thibodeau.
Exactly. To me, delegation is a major skill, and it is a hard skill, I think, for a lot of successful people. And so I think that it's not a skill I don't think Tibbs ever spent extra time working on, and he probably could have benefited from. But then you know what? He wouldn't have been Tom Thibodeau.
I actually do think he knows how to delegate. It's just what he delegates.
Yeah,
like he's gonna. What you have to talk to people. Assistants, go talk to people, and then he'll go back to being a basketball coach. Whereas you can do both, and then collaboration, I think, is the bigger thing that I think.
Absolutely. Delegation, collaboration, it all falls under the same umbrella. All right, let's hit the last couple things before we get out of here. So, Summer League, lots of rumors, lots of discussion. LeBron seemed to be the biggest issue, but I don't even know how to say this.
That real quick, that is something I can co-sign Zach Lowe.
Everybody was talking about LeBron.
Every conversation I had on the concourse was, so where do you think LeBron ends up? And some weren't even brought up by me. Like, I met a scout for the Sixers over at Summer League. Very funny story I didn't tell last week, but we were talking about New York and how the Knicks have ascended, and how as Knicks Film School we've rode that wave. And I was telling him about our merch store, and we have like our best-selling shirt is this one for the DiVincenzo shot that went in last year. And that moment,
shout out Alan Hahn.
Yeah, Alan Hahn, who was sporting it at a fundraiser he was at this weekend. And like, I was talking about how electric that series was, and it then dawned on me. I'm talking to a Sixers scout about the DiVincenzo shot and how iconic it was, and how a Sixers person or fan or a now employee may look at that shot a little differently. Maybe looking at it as the shot where a foul on Maxey wasn't called, a timeout for Nick Nurse wasn't rewarded. And now I can just say, with the benefit of hindsight, it sucks to suck. So nice guy that I met, though. He liked New York and wants to go live there one day. And I said, I hope you get out of the nasty city of Philadelphia someday too.
Strong recommend to live in New York over Philadelphia. What I was going to say is it does seem like there is like the Giannis thing, whatever that means, is not dead and buried. It is still out there. Like Windhorst talked about it. Ian Begley obviously talked about it in the context of the Mikal Bridges extension. We're not going to sit here and talk about like a potential Giannis trade because of what we're not going to waste our fucking time. But I will just note, if this is something that is interesting to you, potentially, you should circle August 6th on your calendar. This was a big storyline last summer in the Lauri Markkanen extension discussions, where he specifically waited until after August 6th, because by waiting to sign his extension until after August 6th, it meant he couldn't be traded last season, because the trade deadline's February 6th. You can't be traded 6 months after signing your extension.
Real quick, I'm smiling because Jeremy and I had this exact conversation last Sunday about.
Well, maybe people missed it.
I know talk about going behind the scenes. What's funny is Jeremy and I said, let's do a pod, and then next week when all the news comes out, like after a full week of news, we'll, like, you and I will do a pod and we'll reset everything. And nothing's changed. So there's no new week of news. But to people who are hearing about August 6th and the potential for Giannis and why that matters to the extensions and the de facto no trade clause you'll get if you extend after August 6th. I'm just
interested. That's all. I'm just interested. And I don't even know in what way I'm interested. Like, will it be notable to me if he signs on? More notable to me if he extends on August 5th or August 7th. Like, I think there's arguments for both. I'm just like, it's just interesting to me that this story is still out there, that they freaking waved and stretched Dame, and they did the Turner signing, and they've gone out and they made some little moves here. They signed Karl-Anthony, like they're still in the running for whether it's Simmons or Westbrook or whoever the hell. And it's just like, and yet, amidst all of this, nobody seems to be 100% sure that Giannis Antetokounmpo plans to like remain a Buck for like at least next season, in its entirety. And I don't know, man, because like, again, everybody's talking about LeBron, nobody's talking about Giannis, but it is clear that people are at least have the Giannis thing in the back of their mind. So I don't know. It's just whatever. If Mikal extends soon, I guess maybe I don't know what that'll mean, but it'll probably mean something.
I've said my piece about Giannis. I don't think he's moving this summer. I know what the reporting is. I have heard some things too that it's the counter to what Begley and Windhorst have suggested. I do think it's a due diligence thing with the Knicks, that it's like, we're not extending Mikal and then Giannis becomes available. And it's why they want to be 100% sure to the number you're using. Yeah. They might be 90% sure. Like it might just be that 10% could get bigger because it's the NBA and Luka got traded. But it's the Giannis situation and the LeBron situation aren't comparable at the moment. One guy doesn't want to be there. One guy may or may not, potentially, possibly, there's a small chance. Like the Giannis situation, they did a move to potentially compete with Giannis on the roster. You don't do what you did with Dame and then Miles Turner if you're not planning to have Giannis on your roster next season. So I'm sorry, it's just two different.
No, I know
different situations. I do think the Knicks. Again, take away from Summer League that I talked about last week, John, but like Mikal Bridges was very visible at Summer League,
which is great. I'm happy about that.
Like on the sidelines, dapping up Mike Brown. I heard stories of him at the Win, like every morning having breakfast with Mike Brown, and they're laughing it up. And that's getting honestly, to know his new coach. You know,
that to me is more important than if they unearthed the corpse of Red Auerbach to be their offensive coordinator. The fact that Mikal Bridges and Mike Brown are like buddy and chummy, that's awesome. Yeah. That's the best news that any Knicks fan could possibly hope to hear.
It's honestly my biggest takeaway from Summer League is how, knowing the extension negotiations that are going on, this guy seems to be all about this new regime. Very funny OG Anunoby sighting at the game that I went to. Just guys in the middle of a desert in a hoodie and Crocs. I would
my daughter's outfit.
And shades. I'm just going to put that out there to give you all an idea of what may have been going on with OG Anunoby at that point in the day, as he came to watch a Summer League game, kind of slouched in his chair courtside.
God bless.
But listen, more power to him. Living his best life. It's just very clear the life of the party for the Knicks was Mikal Bridges going and shaking hands and kissing babies and just very excited to be around the team, which, as we heard last year, may not have been the case under Tom Thibodeau.
Last two things. Rapid fire. When the Knicks make their next signing, and they will make a signing before the end of the summer because they have to.
Right.
Because they only have 12 players on the roster. Will we be doing an emergency live stream? Yes or no?
Not if it's Diawara.
No, we're not doing a Diawara emergency.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can. That's what. No, I'm not going to go player.
I will. I'll say this. I'm down to do any content for the most part. If this happens while I'm on vacation, I'll fight somebody. Is really the takeaway I have. Like, Robert, I love you, but emergency live streams are designated for emergencies for a reason. So I do think that if whoever the vet minimum guy is that they sign will probably be worth a conversation for you and Jeremy, which then leads to the little cycle that we have of like you and Jeremy talk, and then Benji and DJ, and then Sean and Jeff, and then I go get somebody from their team. Like that little this pattern that we've developed post emergency is a good one. I think whoever the veteran is, as long as it's, I mean, if it's Landry Shamet, then, because as you suggested in the newsletter today, then like, no, we will not do an emergency live stream for Landry Shamet. But if
that was the question. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to sign this person. If it's Ben Simmons, there's a conversation to have around that.
That was what I was asking, basically. Yeah. Okay. You've made it very clear. Okay. And then last thing, are we teasing the next episode, or are we going to just drop the next episode?
We can announce here's the full behind the scenes. We'll have a show meeting on the air. So we can tell everybody what the summer plan is, the thing that you've come up with. We can tell everybody the
teased before.
Right. Yeah. You've also kind of started it in the newsletter already. So
but that's my ranking.
That is your ranking. Yes. Yeah. There's a chance it's not the Wednesday episode. It might start next week when we've banked a couple, and just full disclosure, when I'm on vacation. But we can tell everybody it's coming, and we can tell everybody to anticipate it coming at a later date.
And you had a problem with whatever the hell I said at the top of the show. Yes, very briefly, because I'm, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, podcasting from my bedroom, and my wife needs to get in here. We're doing a Knicks 25 for 25. This is now probably the fourth or fifth time I have unabashedly, shamelessly stolen from the Big Picture podcast. They're doing 25 movies the last 25 years. We're doing 25 Knicks for the last 25 years. You want to call it the greatest 25 Knicks of the last 25 years? You want to call it the most notable 25 Knicks of the last 25 years? I kind of left it vague when I pitched this to the Knicks Film School team here, but everybody put in their rankings, and I went and averaged out those rankings last night. So we have an official order that we will count down on the pod over the course of the summer from 25 to 1. We had talked about doing one episode per person. We should probably actually map out how many episodes we need from now until the presumed start of training camp, because maybe we combine some players. We'll have to play that by ear. There might be ties, but in any case, that's going to be our summer. We're going to be going through basically the best, most notable, most fun, most whatever memorable Knicks of the last 25 years. And we have a fun little format that we're going to use to talk about these players in a way that we think will be pretty cool and everybody will enjoy. So that is going to be coming your way very soon.
That's what I meant by mapping it out. Whether it might have to start Wednesday, so we get this whole thing done with like all 25 episodes done before training camp. We also may want to just start on a Monday flatly, but yeah, this will be a thing that you get throughout the summer that we hope you enjoy. And to emphasize a clarification that John made to me, we say 25 years. It's not this century. It's the last 25 seasons, which means the 2000 playoffs don't count. No. When I initially did my rankings, the 2000 playoffs were very factored in when I came to talking about Sprewell and Camby. Even
it's really Sprewell,
Allen Houston,
Camby,
those guys.
There's an argument that maybe another player who might have been / might be under consideration for this list is impacted by that as well. But those are the big three, I think.
Well, so all of those guys are just Knicks players that made the first round once after 2000, though. Exactly. So that's where their playoff accomplishments don't matter as much, which may factor into the list. So this is not including the 2000 playoffs.
Yeah.
It begins with the 2000-2001 season.
But again, my logic is very simple. It's the post-Ewing era. It's a very clean line of demarcation, and it just seemed appropriate for that reason. Okay, I have to go. Andrew Claudio, you're the best. Everybody out there, thank you for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We'll be back with more fun and games before you know it, and before we know it, apparently. As of right now. Talk to everybody later. Peace out.